How to make bread for Sam and company. I made the Poolish last night. I didn't film that part because we were having game night and I didn't want to stop to film. But this is the Poolish. This is what it looks like after, this has been about, I think 13 hours. So it's bubbly, it's gassy, this is all just 500 grams of water at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 500 grams of all-purpose King Arthur flour, which is 11.7% protein, and just a tiny pinch of yeast, specifically a little less than an eighth of a teaspoon. It's the next day. This is 500 grams of flour, to which we're gonna add 3 grams of yeast, 21 grams of fine sea salt. I use fine here because the kosher salt doesn't mix as well. Certainly not coarse. We want to integrate it, not have it be like little chunks. That goes in. Mix this up. This is the remaining water for the recipe. It's 250 grams of water at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The easiest way to do it is to actually pour it into the Poolish to loosen it up on the sides. This will also bring the temperature of the Poolish up. Right now it's probably low 70s from overnight. Then we take this whole thing, and dough scraper helps, and it goes into the final mix. So now we have a total of 1,000 grams of flour, 750 grams of water, 3 grams of yeast, and 21 grams of salt. If you're doing the math at home, that's a 75% hydration. This part might be a little weird if you've never done it. This is mud pie shit. So you get in, you just start mixing, you pull everything together. It's gonna be a mess, that's fine. I have a little bit of bench water here, hold. So if I need to get my hands, my mixing hand a little wet, I can do that. Otherwise, we're just bringing it together. This is the boring part of the video. You're just squeezing, integrating, getting all the dry bits in. We want a completely homogeneous dough here. We're not looking for any floury bits. We're not gonna let it hydrate through the process. We want it fully mixed, and we wanna make sure all that yeast and all of that salt get mixed in. And we're back. Okay, so that was the magic of TV. I've mixed this, it's pretty much all the way there. I don't see any dry floury bits. You might see some stuff on the walls of the mixing bowl. That's fine, it's not gonna be the end of all things. Ken Forkish is a pretty awesome bread guy, and also the impetus for this recipe. I've really not modified it at all. This is just the white Poolish. He recommends this pincher method, which is basically lobster clawing your way through it. That integrates everything really nicely. And then it's looking pretty like a shaggy mess. This isn't a kneading process right here, by the way. This is just a mixing process. Like I said, I've got a side of water. If at any point, things get too messy, I can just grab a little water. It's okay to overhydrate it by little bits here and there. And that's pretty much it. That is the mixed dough. It doesn't look like much now. It's going to look a lot more handsome as the process goes on. This is gonna sit for 30 minutes, during which it's gonna auto-lees. That flour is gonna more fully hydrate, and then we're gonna do the first of 3 stretches and folds. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. I forgot to show you that I lidded it. I'm gonna keep it lidded during the process. It just keeps the dough from drying out. So clean hands, I'm degloved. I've got a little bit of bench water here. We're gonna stretch and fold. So the process is, it's like an envelope fold. You're pulling one side and then rotating it 90, and then 90, and then lastly 90. I already did this once, but the video effed up, so it's a little tout right now. That's okay. When we stretch it, we are not looking to break the dough. We don't want to snap those gluten strands that we're trying to develop. So that's basically the process. It's 4 folds, 1 on each side. And then at this point, I'm gonna turn the whole thing over so it's seam side down. That will help keep and build some tension in the dough. It'll stretch back out, and then we'll be ready again in 30 minutes to do the second of 3 folds. It's already looking much better than it was. It's a little less shaggy, it's starting to smooth out, it's starting to feel cohesive. See you soon. Okay, here we are again. This is the second of 3 stretches and folds. It's been another half an hour since the last one. Again, 4 folds. It's gonna get easier and easier to stretch each time. You can see I'm pulling it as far as I can go, really, but without breaking the dough. And again, snapping those strands. Last one. And then once again, turning itself over seam side down to add tension to that dough. It's looking good. It's smelling good. I don't know if you're into the smell of bread, but man, it smells really good. Almost buttery, definitely yeasty. Getting that little light brewery smell happening. We've got one more of these, and then we're gonna let it relax for the remaining bulk ferment. And then we'll go from there. Hey, it's the last one. 3rd stretch and fold. Same business as usual. So the schedule is last night around 7:30, I mixed the Poolish. This morning at around 8:30ish, I mixed the dough. Then there are 3 stretch and folds at 9:30, and it's around 10 right now. This is the last one. And then it's going to sit like this and relax for an hour and a half for the rest of the bulk ferment, at which point we'll divide the dough, get it into shaping, getting it into baskets, preheating the oven, and getting ready to roll for the bake. That's it. You notice we did not do any, hardcore kneading here. This was just mixing the dough, letting it do its thing, and then doing some stretches and folds. The pre-ferment from the Poolish, where it rested between 12 and 14 hours, 13 in this case, really does the bulk of the work. That pre-ferment means that dough is really sort of kicked into overdrive right when you mix it, and it's already beginning its process. If we started out with a different kind of dough, say a same-day pizza dough, we might do a similar type process, but the bulk ferment might be 6 to 8 hours long to make up for that lack of pre-ferment. So here we go. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, here we are. Last bit. It's now 11:30. We started mixing at 8:30, so that 3-hour bulk ferment has passed. I've got the bench floured. You can see dough is bigger. It's poofier. It's full of air. We're gonna take it out onto the board, split it into 2 loaves, and then shape it. We're gonna try not to knock too much air out, but some is gonna get knocked out, and that's just that. So you're gonna pull, again, we don't wanna break those strands of gluten. We want the dough to come out in one piece. And out onto our floured board. It's beautiful. I love this. One of my favorite parts. So I'm gonna get underneath it and then just stretch it out and kind of relax it. Now I'm gonna split it in 2, but I'm not gonna worry about weight. I'm gonna use a little bit of flour to create a delineating line that the bench scraper will go through easy enough. Looks like maybe this one's just a little bit bigger. I have 2 pans in the oven. One's actually a little bit bigger than the other, so that's fine. So for shaping, we're going to basically do some folds. We're gonna fold it in like we're making a boule, like a pizza, basically. So this is the sticky part. This is the dry, so this was on the flour, this underneath side. So this is soft, not sticky, but this part is still pretty sticky. So this goes in. It should pretty much hold to itself. I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna remove any flour here so that I can start to shape it. And if you've ever shaped a boule, it's like this procedure. Best is just to use like a little rotation plus a little thumb action. At this point, we pretty much have a shaped loaf. We just pull it, and then you can see it starts to create a little tension. Do it again. We rotate it a few times until we get a tight dough ball. That tension is going to help the air inside the bread to hold. It's going to create those bubbles so that when you cut into it, you get that nice airy crumb. That's kind of what we're going for. That's pretty much it. And then it's going to go into a banneton. Now, these bannetons that I use are pretty seasoned. But if you need a little extra flour, you can, just put it in, rub it around. Now, here's the interesting thing with Ken Forkish's technique. Normally, it seems like you would flip this over, and this would be the top side of the bread, and then this underneath part where the seams are would be the bottom. But actually, the way he does it is he likes to put it in bottom side down so that when it flips over, that it's actually the top. So instead of doing elaborate scoring, using a dough lom to create that ear, we just let the bread naturally find its way, its crevasses, and this just goes in. Simple enough. That's it. This bread is gonna sit here for an hour 15. I'm gonna do the other one, then we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish it. Okay, I've got 2 shaped loaves, one being slightly bigger. These are, again, bannetons, rounds. This makes your standard boule type shape. If I had the oval ones, that's cool. That makes a batard. That's actually a little bit better for sandwiches and whatnot. It's just that I don't have a vessel that can bake that. The best way is to let these prove is to use these disposable shower caps. They keep the dough nice. They go right over, no problemo. And these are going to prove for 1 hour and 15 for the final proving. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and start the oven. I have 2 Dutch ovens in right now. The baking temperature is 475 on these, so I'm gonna set it to 475. Actually, technically, I'm gonna set it to 425 convect bake. That convection, the movement of air in the oven adds about 50 degrees. I find 425 convect is pretty much just perfect for this bake. So that's what we're gonna do. In an hour and 15, I'll come back. We'll turn these out. We'll put them into the Dutch oven. We'll get them in and they'll start baking. Okay, look at where we're at. Look at how paunchy, nice and airy. They've grown. They're ready to go in. So nice and simple. Just have the confidence to do it. Turn it over. There it is. We're gonna take this, put it straight in. Put the lid on it. We're gonna do the same with the other one. The whole point of using the Dutch oven is that it seals the environment and allows that 75% hydration that's in the dough to do its work. It's gonna rise, it's gonna create steam, it's gonna give the bread what they call the oven spring or that lift, and we're off to the races. Lid on. It's gonna bake at 475 for 30 minutes. We're gonna take the lid off and finish it for another 25-ish minutes, and then the bread will be done. Let's see what it looks like. You always hope and pray that you get a good lift. You hope that you know what? I take that back. You don't pray, because prayers don't work, so fuck that. You hope that science does its job and that you've been careful with the dough. You want the oven spring to happen, and you really want the natural fissures in the bread to sort of open up and create that classic artisan bread stretch that you see, which gives it tons of super crispiness and gives the interior an awesome chew. So see you in 25. Okay, excuse the extra noise. I'm roasting some mushrooms. So all we're gonna do is lift the lids, see where we're at. Looking pretty good. Next. Okay, back in. Oven closed. Try to move quick because, hey, I don't want to lose the thermals on the oven. See you in 25 minutes. Okay, let's see what happened. Yeah, that is looking magnificent. So that's it. At this point, we're just gonna take them out. We'll do that carefully because these pans are ripping hot. And then we're gonna put them on this cooling rack, and then in an hour or two, they'll be ready for slicing. Bread. Okay, one last note. I have two pans. One is a Le Creuset Dutch oven, and the other is a Lodge Dutch oven. The Lodge is a little squatter, and you can see how it's affected these two loaves. This one didn't rise quite as high on account of it had a shallower basin, and then this one is the one that got a little bit more fully risen because it was in the bigger Dutch oven. You can also hear them now crackling, which is one of the best parts, and these are done.